The man discovered something strange. The neighbors have been gradually moving out recently. He recalled that his sister had asked him to leave and join her a few days ago. So, Neil took his cat and went to the airport. He was preparing to head to Canada. Suddenly, there was a commotion at the security checkpoint. People's passports were all rejected by the system. Then, all flights were canceled at the same time. Neil received an alert. Just now, 2 cases of a rabies virus variant were detected in the city. In just a few minutes, the infected would turn into mindless monsters. As a result, the mayor decided to lock down the city. The crowd immediately lost control. They frantically rushed back to their homes. A traffic jam stretched for several kilometers. This made Neil decide to walk back home. But when he arrived home, it was surrounded by fully armed soldiers. In just one day, several countries had fallen. Spain quickly issued a war notice. People's movements would be managed by the military. Neil finally realized the severity of the situation. But when he went to the supermarket, the shelves were already bare. Crowds of people were everywhere buying supplies. He had to search for some leftover supplies in a gas station store. In a hurry, Neil returned home. Fortunately, he had worked as a welder before, so he reinforced the doors and windows. At night, drones broadcasted from above. It turned out the military was planning to manage all the people gathered together. Soon after the military withdrew, Neil started living an isolated life. But not long after, the food he had stored was running low. So, Neil had to wear basic protective gear and go out to collect supplies. Neil constantly sneaked into his neighbors' homes. But when he was about to search another house, he discovered an elderly man living alone. It turned out the old man had a disability and couldn't leave. The old man observed his neighbors' every move from the balcony every day. He knew which families had stocked up on supplies. With the old man's guidance, Neil not only found a lot of food, but also obtained an off-road motorcycle and a walkie-talkie. But one night, a broadcast came through the radio. The military was making a final call to gather the survivors. They would gather at the Alrosa port. The survivors would be sent to the Canary Islands. With food almost running out again, Neil persuaded the old man to leave with him. The next morning, Neil went to the old man's house, but his calls were met with silence. Feeling something was wrong, Neil rushed upstairs. There, he discovered that the old man, not wanting to be a burden, had already met his maker. Neil had to suppress his sorrow and go home to pack his bags.